All right, welcome back everybody to another episode of Manhattan Mondays. We're here with Leon Hunt. He is the chairman of the Virgin Islands Sports Committee. Mr. Hunt, welcome to the show.
Hey, good afternoon, I would say. Thanks for having me on.
All right, so we like to get right to the questions. I want tell me a little bit about your position with the VI Olympic Committee.
All right, so within the Virgin Island Olympic Committee, I actually have two titles. First thing is the Athletes Commission President, and the second one is University Sports President. And both of the two are actually way different than the titles are. The first one with the Athletes Commission is pretty much I'm the spokesperson for all of our national athletes of the Virgin Islands. If they got a situation, they got a problem, or anything of any of their concerns, they let me know. Then I bring it to the executive board. I let them know their problems and what the situation is. A lot of times it could go far left or far right. But as you know, without athletes, we wouldn't have any sports. So the athletes are the main aspect of it. So their word go a long way. So that's the one side. The other side with the University Sports Federation, is as we are university athletes and K through 12, and that's only for athletes in the Virgin Islands. So you have to be K through 12 and university. So not just UVI though. You could be from the Virgin Islands that attend any university across the world and still be able to represent us at our championship game, which is called FISU. And we have that every 2 years. It's someplace somewhere, and that sports goes about 30 different sports.
The biggest story right now with the Olympics was this summer was the postponement of the 2020 games until 2021. How did that affect the VIOC as an organization first, and then the individual athletes second?
All right, so the VIOC on one side is, it gave us a little time to step back and really see, because we was extremely excited, but also we was like, the timing kind of came quick. Although we know it's every 4 years, that time always come up. So it allowed us to sit back, trying to restructure some things, which actually turned out on better for some of the athletes, because now we actually had more funding allocated to the athletes for training, so they could go ahead and try to qualify, or to qualify for, I guess, Tokyo 2021. So that was always a big issue, is funding. And when you just have a certain amount of funds per year, or a small amount of athletes able to get that. So now when the games postponed, those other funds was available because nothing was going on. So now we got more funds, more athletes are able to get it, just in a sense of, so they could go ahead and try to qualify. Now that's also with the fact is trying to qualify, trying to train safely as well, because if we ain't no games, where can they go ahead and qualify at? So some sports have it better than others because of the social distancing guidelines. Other sports, such as team sports, they kind of have the bad end of the stick. As in for the athlete standpoint, for those who've not qualified, they had an extra 9 months, or let's just say extra year, to try and qualify. So a lot of times when you're training, you do need that extra 6 months in, or extra training or repetition or rest to try to get there, because all of your training in 4 years come down to like 1 day, which is that qualifying day. And sometimes you might need a 1 day and an extra week. And if you didn't have the extra week, you would have never been able to qualify, in a sense. So now that it's pushed back for a whole extra year, the athletes have a longer time to train, get themselves a bit better and train. So I'm expecting most of our athletes to use this time wisely, because it shouldn't really be no excuse, just to be real. On the other hand, their argument says, we can't go any place to train. So like I said before, some individual athletes, they have it better than team sports. So, it's just the drawing. So that way the team sport athletes, you kind of got it tough, but not saying that you can't do it. But most team sports have to qualify as a whole team wise. And that way, some athletes might be better off to train and others might just say, man, I'm in an era where I just can't train. So it's like, so when you get into a team effort, it's like somebody gonna be carrying the team along the way. Individual sports wise, well, it's all up to them, and how much they really do want it. If we're talking about Olympics here.
But you spoke earlier about your position with the federation. How has I know you were a former track athlete. How has your experience as a former athlete going to Olympics help you with your job today?
Well, I was able to understand as an athlete the challenges that a lot of the administration don't really get to see and understand. And I know how it is. Like, it's literally a struggle, and you out there literally training every day. You put your life on the line. You putting your job to the side. You just doing everything in your heart to say, okay, man, one day I'm gonna be in the Olympics and trying to represent the Virgin Islands. So you literally like, this is my job. I'm out here running laps or doing whatever, throwing a job, dribbling the ball, throwing the ball, whatever it may be for your country. And a lot of people don't really get to understand that. But being on the other side, I really man, a lot of students really do believe that they could do this. And they the only thing they really want is support. A lot of times, especially being in the Virgin Islands, we don't have a lot of support. So the minimum amount of support that we could give any athlete is like the biggest thing ever, because we just don't have it. So giving them that bit of the individual small amount of support actually goes a long way. And that's one thing that I realized. I try my best to open up myself to different aspects of sports, not just track and field, but just to find out what do these athletes really want, or what can we assist them with, because that's what we're here for. And it made me realize that. And like I said, the games are the fun stuff, but the preparation is the stuff that a lot of people don't get to see. And that's the hardest part right there, is literally get to go through 4 years trying to get to this place. And when most people, the spectators, only see them on screen just for that one day, but there's so much stuff they have to go through and sacrifice to get there. And it's not for everybody. Definitely telling you, it's a big decision to make, and it affects your life currently and in the long run. But when you put in for it, that's the risk that you kind of going for.
I was just wondering, is there any short list of athletes that you think have a legitimate shot at competing in the 2021 games, or what teams from the Virgin Islands are going to go to the 2021 games?
Yes, I do. Okay, so ideally, we always have track and field, of course. So track and field by default is someone who always have at least minimum, just 1 to 3 athletes. And that's because it's 23 different sports or events in track and field. So it's a broader scale. All right, so we got track and field there, and that's a male and female, which is usually we got the 200 meter, which is Laverne Jones, and we have the hurdler, which is Eddie Lovett, right? The 110s. Then we have upcoming Mr. Smith, Malik Smith from St. Croix. He now is in the 400 meter hurdle. So that's a unique one right there. He used to do the 800, so he brought his talents over to the 400. Moving over to, we always have swimming. As you guys know, our swimming association for the Virgin Islands. These young athletes here is like it's about 5 to 6 males and about 3 females as right now that's coming up. That's literally just right down the edge. Which I think this extra time we could probably have a good amount of athletes from swimming. Then we have archery. We have Nicholas Deamar, young. I think he's one of our youngest athletes. He does archery. I forgot the distance, and I think it's recumbent. And what he does is, so far he's been to he's literally right there at the tipping at the world's let me see. I'm trying to get it right because I don't want to mess up, but I think he's about, let's just say, top 20 in the world. And in archery, it's all these young athletes from across the world. He's at all of their competitions, and he just always right there, just nudging them right there. So he's been doing very well. He came on the scene within the last 2 years. And like I say, he's young. I think the guy is probably he's not even 18 yet. and he's literally ranked in the world with them. And then some unique other sports. I think we may have sailing, a prospect from sailing. We have our winter athletes, but I know that's Winter Olympics. We got two people over there, which is Mrs. What are they? We have a skeleton and alpine skier. Forgot their names, and I think that should be it for right now. For team sports wise, we don't have anybody in team sports wise. And we have a fencer. We have a fencer as well, and then that should be it.
So, I mean, all this talk about the Olympics in 2021. I mean, your honest perspective, do you anticipate us having the Olympics in 2021?
Personally, I don't think we're gonna have it as that time go by, because you have too many people with the right to have their safety point of view of what's going to happen or could happen in that time, especially when we could look at the world right now with the mainland America being the bad end of the stick of not having it controlled, and actually the rest of the world having it pretty much kind of under control. And the problem is America usually have most of the athletes, and that's where you can get your bang for your buck, because everybody wants to say America. But you can't bring in American people over there if we don't have things under control. Not that we are saying that that we're gonna go there and get sick from everybody else, but right now we're looking at the carriers to the world as America with the biggest team, and a lot of countries might be not for that. And I kind of can't blame them. So I think right now, if it do happen, it will be something of signing away your rights, to where if it happened, you come in here, you can't sue us because, hey, you signed up to come here, and that's what it is. Now, coming back, everybody have to go through some type of vaccine or just probably have to, we don't know. But I do know, it looks like if it was me from a country and we wanted the games to happen, because we know the games are very important in the sense of financial situations, so economy-wise, I will have people sign their rights away. And that's on one side, and that's not putting the value over, I say, somebody's health. But we literally have to deal with this for the rest of our life anyway. So I'm not ignoring the health risks with inside of it. You just have to be able to just come in with a new norm now,
Switching topics a bit. I know you guys hosted a virtual run this week. On the week of Olympic Day this year, how were you able to pull off a competition like that in the technology age?
So other territories, kind of easier now. We actually have more participants at the virtual run than we actually do have live. And the reason why is because of our smartphone capability as we have here today. You were able to do a mile, record the distance using either Google Fit or BitFit or whatever, something that could track your actual mile. Now, you literally just put it on, you set it and then go, and you could have did it within your own time. You just submit the information within that day. And usually with the live one in person, a lot of people don't want to wake up so early, and all those on two different islands, although this year was going to actually do St. John's too, because everybody said we always forget about St. John's, but we was going to actually have all three islands. And I thought it was beneficial because now that we went through the pandemic or going through the pandemic, people see like, oh, I need to probably start getting a little bit healthy now, taking care of myself. So more people came in and used it as an excuse to quote unquote, well, let me just try it here, because you don't have to run. You can jog and you can walk too. But the whole point is all being in there, and they brought everybody in from different. And then it was also open for people off the island in the mainland, so they could participate too and send in their results. So actually being virtual wherever you was at was actually brought it a bit more awareness in a sense. So I definitely enjoyed it. And did I do it? I did walk, because I'm a walker now and I don't run anymore.
That sounds like a fantastic event. Do you want to put on more events like this?
Yes. So within University Sports Federation, within FISU, that's our that's our organization. It's a lot of virtual or say distance sporting that we actually do in that organization. The problem is, well, it's usually for most of those competitions set up with university. I don't have access to many of our university students, at least within the Virgin Islands, to set it up. Or I can rarely find the athletes from the Virgin Islands and other universities because it's just kind of hard to track down people from the Virgin Islands. But they do have, in FISU, we are planning to do a lot of virtual competitions, so that at least that way, well, we don't have to travel anywhere and have the kids incorporate the e-gaming aspect of it, because as you can see over the pandemic, e-gaming just pretty much boomed. And it was something that was coming, but the world didn't want it because they didn't think that e-gaming was a sport. And now that it is a sport and we were forced to do it, it's now greatly accepted within the sport aspect of everything. So it's funny how things happen. So where they didn't want something, now they want it. So yeah.
So I heard that you were going to be on a new sports commission. Could you tell us a little bit about what that is and what are they trying to accomplish?
All right. So, wow, that's a big one. All right. So the sports commission, right? What it is let's just call it the governing body of policies and regulation through all sports in the territory. So what is that? Ideally, we're the police of sports, right? We're the police of sports, but mostly is designed for safety and awareness for our community, and where we can be able to help our community and outsiders who's coming in here to have a fair level of sports. So how is that different from the Olympic Committee now? Well, a lot of times that the Olympic Committee is the organization, yes, but when you have the governance side of it, it's pretty much where we have an even balance of everything to try to allocate to where, if you have a sports event that you want to do on your own, we're just saying, hey, you come in, you go to the highest body of the sport, let's just say it's basketball, and you go with basketball and find out that you're doing the correct thing, where you have the X's and O's, you got the rules there, you have insurance, you have security, and you have fair play. Once that happens, then you're open to go ahead and have your own event, but we're trying to minimize the risk of people doing illegal sports here. So then that way everybody be commonly, hey, I want to go to a game safe, and the games there is safe, the rules are safe, and there's insurance. So that's the biggest thing there. So we're just trying to govern everything within the sports, within the territory, and highlight them from our assistance from the governance side, because it's a lot of organizations that need help and they just need a helping hand. So why not come to us for a helping hand, and we could just help you to get wherever it is, and let's just say advertise your sport to the whole community, because who don't want to host I'm just choosing basketball right now, but who don't want to host a game and have at least majority of the island come into your gaming entity to enjoy it. So that's what we are here. It's actually a bigger job that the explanation here, because it's a lot of stuff that have to go through legislative, but the whole policy of it is to make sure everything is fair play and everybody's doing what they want to do. Opening for all of the quote unquote sport tourism aspect of it, because we know the Virgin Islands is a unique place, and we want to make sure that we have the sports tourism aspect on it, because we know sports tourism is the largest growing industry for revenue across the world. Like, we have the Olympics. What if we had the Olympics and everybody was coming here in the Virgin Islands? I think that would have been a great idea. Now, granted, it's COVID going on, but when you have those things coming down here now, and we build up hotels, local spending, that money stays here within the territory. It doesn't leave out the territory. So that's one of the things that we try and do with sport tourism, is bring the money here to make it stay here and allocate here within the country, rather than come here, play here, and then leave out the country. We want the money to circulate here in the territory, and that's one of the benefits of sports. And that's across the board. I know it's about 60 different types of sports, and literally whatever it is that we could do, we're going to try to present that to the community.
So the commission is overall sports in the territory. It looks at all
Yes.
sports. So
Correct.
Tell me, how do you think the organization can improve VI sports?
Well, the first thing is we need to know what sports are available out there for us, right? One of the things that we're working highly with the Olympic Committee, because that is the highest body of all, quote unquote, legal. Let's say that's the highest body of our professional sports, because the Olympics is the highest place that you could go, right? For sports. So they're the professionals within the sports and learning how to do the sports. Us on the commission side now are working along with them so they can be able to enlighten the community on how sports is supposed to be done here in the territory. So it's working alongside with the Olympic Committee and within the guidelines. And those guidelines comes in to where we don't mind you to do your own thing, but we just want to make sure, like, it's like the NBA, right? Because I'm picking on basketball. So let's say the Olympic Committee, we got the NBA. And you don't want to have other leagues out there that doesn't go along with the NBA, quote unquote, standards and rules, right? Because that's where we taught to learn sports games and the skills and everything. So you go through that entity, and within that entity, you go in there and get pretty much training. And from that training, you could go out there from the training here that's recommended that say you could do A, B, and C, and have your sports games. So no matter what it may be. So we're that guy in the middle that's literally connecting the community to the highest bodies of sports to help out the community. Now, granted, you might say, well, why are we here? 'Cause if we're not here, well, guess what? We are here to connect us together because we are just a smaller country. It's a small country here, but we got so much to offer. So it's good to have one nucleus in there that could ties everything in. And as you guys can see, like, it's kind of hard to find sports in the territory because, well, for one, nobody have an email, nobody have a phone number. You don't even know who is who. And we're that body that connects everybody together, but we don't tell them how to run their sports. We just set up the rules and regulation policy of it in the quote unquote territory.
So let me ask you real quick. One of the big things I think down here is we don't have a lack of talent. We have tons of talent. We have a lack of competition in terms of games played, different types of competition, different islands. Can this commission bring about some kind of change where we could actually play different islands or play more games or, up the competition?
Absolutely. So that's one thing that I see that we lack here too, because our talent here is good against us, but we forgot it's a world out there, right? All right. So creating those opportunities, how do you create those opportunities? Well, we're talking about tourism now, or at least international sports. So now we could chances to invite other countries in from the grade level K through 12 and major Olympic sports and have those things there, which is good because as athletes here, you like, well, it's kind of good to see other people play and learn other different skills, because even as an athlete, I went across the world to train different type of skills in my event within long jump, and I learned so much. But if I would have just been here in the Virgin Islands, I would have never been able to do it. But at least we get to see we can go online now and see certain things, but kind of different to see it in person. So how can we get our skills here in the Virgin Islands to compete against the world? Well, you got to bring in the big dogs. You got to bring in the best of the best so we can play the best and see something else. Okay, so I didn't never see this move before. So now I got experience within the move. We practiced the move, and now we can go ahead and see it. So most of the idea is to being able to bring in these different sportings across the world or levels of sports to compete against our quote unquote athletes, whether if it's an A, B, C, or D team, right? Because they all need the experience. Now, here's the other part too. The coaches need it too, because coaches now is like, well, we play this, well, we've been somewhere, but guess what? They as well need to see other different type of sport and aspect and coaching and get certified in different things, because what happens if you just get certified in high school sports? There's so much sports after that you might be able to tweak the skills here and there to teach our quote unquote locals here. So the main point is we're trying to bring it back into us as a hub. So now we could feed our group and then our group will go out there and be able to be competitive against the world. Because I say live here, it's embarrassing that we are great here, but when we go across the world, we act like we don't know what we're doing. So we used to be a culture where we used to be on the stand and getting medals and everything, and finals and semifinals, and that, as you can see, gone down. And the plan is to build that back up, because we are, like you said, we are strong here in the Verde. There's many talents here, but we need a little organizational structure organizational structure on where we're heading in there, because it kind of sucks to lose a lot of athletes to go to America, and they compete to America. We got a lot of that going on, so we lose now people to the world.
About the bringing the competition to the Virgin Islands, I know with the building of the Bethlehem soccer complex, that soccer was able to host the U23 Olympic qualifiers. Those are the type of events you're talking about, and what would the facilities be needed for other sports to start getting towards that trend?
So good question. All right, so right now, I think what we need to focus on is seeing what we actually have, right? So seeing what sports are we good in here in the Virgin Islands? Well, first of all, we're surrounded by water, beaches, and sun, right? A lot of the beach sports, you don't need a facility. You have a beach. You just create a ring around the beach and bleachers. I've been to so many countries where I'm like, wow, you just need a couple of seats here to fit 2,000 people, and they will come. So that's something that we don't have to build in facilities. Not saying that we don't need facilities. Okay, cool. So now the best type of facility, if we would need something, I would say would be a sportsplex, right? Now, a sportsplex that's designed on each island that allocates their favor of sports, right? We know St. Croix got the biggest space. So ideally, St. Croix will have the biggest land to put in the major structures there. St. Thomas is limited on space. Only thing we could do on St. Thomas is pretty much build up, right? But the aspect of coming into St. Thomas is more highlighted because it's pushed across the world, where everybody's like, hey, I want to come over there to St. Thomas. So we use St. Thomas for its attributes. St. John's too. St. John's, on the other hand, we could put a smaller plex over there. Say we do a tennis court, international tennis level standard court on St. Thomas. It's small enough so where you don't have to disrupt the island, but it's small enough so where we could have something going on over there. And many people love St. Thomas. Many people love tennis. And tennis is one of those luxurious sports that, you see the Rolex on there, you see the Bulgari. Those people will come here just to see those games. So you kind of identify the interest within the sports that we already have. So don't work against us. Let's use to what we have and put those things here. Now, I don't mind if we have all these facilities, but guess the thing about facilities, you need somebody to work in them and keep them up, right? So we're going to build a facility. I don't care how great it is. We best make sure we have to open up those jobs for those facilities, for those people to run those facilities locally as well, Within facilities, we can have quote unquote training sectors where you come in, we have auditorium, we have the conference rooms and so forth. That's great because there's not a lot of places to do it. The only place ideally set up for something major like that is UVI. So pretty much what I'm saying is we're building a sportsplex with the looks of a university because they have those other options, even concerts as well. But we also need to have dormitories because if we inviting people in and we have limited space within the hotels, athletes know they don't really come down. If there's training, they don't go to a place to stay in a fancy hotel because you're coming in for a game, right? Most of our games are set up in dormitory-like. That's what we are as athletes. Now, for the spectators, it's different. They come in, they stay in the hotels. But the athletes, when we bring them in large, let's just say by the hundreds, we could house them in dormitories. So this ideally sportsplex need a design that will we use it for all its features if we're going to be inviting people to them here and creating jobs.
With everything you just said, I guess this would be a ideal thing for after the pandemic. But do you think that we can create a bubble-like situation where we could bring people down here and have this stuff going on now?
Well, I think the world is already doing it. we had swimming, sorry, not swimming, sailing had an event at the regatta where they was able to stay in the social distancing guidelines. I had a successful event, right? So that's one. We have volleyball, beach volleyball, that requires two people, that periodically you really don't be within the person semicircle most of the time in volleyball. You know, it's kind of set up in your quadrants of four, and you got what's over here, I got what's over there. But you know, in the sense of the game at crisscross, you kind of stay in those guidelines over there. We even had badminton. Same thing. It's a huge sport overseas, especially in Singapore. And guess what? They will probably love to come to the Virgin Islands as well. We have fencing. Usually within fencing, you don't, when you have your when you have your sword, once you hit the person, your arms are already extended. The sword is already over 3 feet. That's at least an extra, you know, we're there. So we're there. We don't really get into we stay within the social guideline. So there's sports out there that we could look into that even, look, I just named those 3 sports and we already have the facility set up for it because it's already what we have, a platform, the land and water. It's already there. So that's the kind of outside thinking that we looking so that we can kind of do right now as we plan for the bigger sporting events. But that's the way we should be looking at the Virgin Islands because that's how sports tourism works. You just don't stick with the football and whatever it is because, granted, we don't even have many people in the country that actually plays football, you know? And football aspect in that sports tourism is Park Warner because it's the small athletes, guess what? Parents travel with small athletes. So if we have something like that, it'll be for the small athletes so the parents could come down and the kids could play and the parents could have a wonderful time on the islands. That's how you're gonna kind of have to use what we have to our best than just using other ideas to kind of not work with us, you know? So that's the way you kind of have to look at it. Like, what's the best way to maximize what we have to bring in sports tourism within the social distancing guidelines and make it for the better? Because not just now, these guidelines are going to be within everybody policy from here on out because it could be another outbreak. But we have to make sure we plan in and have those things in there so we won't be catch off guard down the future. So that's the type of plan that has to go in. It just ain't like, yeah, we should do this, we should do that. Nah, it takes a little bit more than just to do this and do that because we don't want to mess up and if we're not doing it right the first time to go back in again and creating a headache. Just as we know, over there at Udorkin, we have a great IAAF track that's still not complete. And that track is the IAAF world famous track that we could use over there. That's unfortunately still can't complete. So I don't have the question to find out how the heck we had to build it 1 million times, but clearly something is wrong right there. And, you know, when we have a large space like that, because, you know, we limited on space. So when you have a large space like that and you don't build it correctly, those are the things that like we really, like for real, we messed up stuff, something like that we could already capitalize on. So those are small things right there that we just don't have to do. And it's just kind of, I really don't know the answer to that one, you know, but I really don't know how you could mess up something like that. And I'm only picking on that because I myself was a track person. I was excited when they were building it. I was excited to trying to be able to run on it. I trained on it. But what good is a track, a world IAAF world certified track, if you can't run no events on it? It's good to, actually it's horrible to train on because it's too hard. You don't get shin splints. But why in the world that, you know what I'm saying? That's like millions of dollars that could have come into that territory. And you know, when we travel in track teams, they travel by at least 50 members per team, 25 girls, 25 boys. The university is the best people because guess what? University teams that can afford it, they travel with almost 100 athletes and they actually go and spend more than a week, you know? So imagine that we bring 25 university schools down here to the Virgin Islands just to compete. But
like a track paradise game.
Yes, ideally. And guess what? It work every place else. Why can't it work here? Because our facility Well, it's still pending. It's still pending. So those are the things that hurt us to where we get asked these questions, and I will hope. I've been trying to find out the answer, because sometimes when you get closer to it, you end up getting like another five corners to say, okay, wait, I gotta go down these roads again. So I don't even have the answer, and I don't even think the people that's supposed to know the answer don't even know. So those are issues that we have, and if we don't nick them in the butt now, at least within the sports commission, then this is just going to be another whole cycle again. Somebody else will be in my spot answering the same question, like, yeah, I remember Leon Hunt was saying something like that, but yeah, it still ain't built, and we've been hearing this forever. So if we care about it, we will do it. If we don't care about it, well, let's just continue to do how things do anyway, So that's the question for us. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to clarify, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't know the full extent of what the commission can do. So is this under your purview? I mean, are you able to ask these kind of questions and follow the money and see why it's happened correctly? Are you able to do this under the commission?
So I am, and I think I've tried it even before here. What I think is that we're a small country, right? It's just us. And if we don't try to work with each other, it don't matter the highest person to the lowest person in the country, we ain't gonna go nowhere, literally. It's just gonna be at a standstill. So I tried it even before being here. I tried it when I was an athlete. I tried it when I retired from being an athlete. And I still have the same answers from still then. So it's like, okay, so now I go to certain people, and I even talk to the community just to hear what they say. Some people just know more stuff than what others. But it takes a whole village, as they say, to raise a child. Well, it takes a whole country to build a country. And if we don't believe in these things, then we just gonna kind of operate mediocre and kind of get by. And honest to say, we always get bailed out from our bigger brother and sister, which is on the mainland. So when you always kind of have a helpline, like a lifeline like that, then you kind of don't want to do things on your own, because you're going to get kind of help, and that weakens you. And we know that from an athlete and a real life situation, but those things are real. And I guess I could just continue to try, and until we get a breakthrough, then we'll know. So in the next, we got 4 years, just like anybody. Is this not been a speech to everybody? But just look at the progression. If this organization does great in 4 years and see everything that we have done, great. If we haven't, well, somebody else get to try it. At least we got a chance to try. And if you don't try, then you'll never know. So at least that's the fair deal.
Before we wrap up today, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I would everybody should try to continue their social distancing guidelines, and use the time wisely. We got a lot of time on our hands. We don't have a lot of answers that's coming up. But what you can do, just as any athlete, that I would say, is you prepare. You prepare for the worst and you prepare for the best, but at least you'll be prepared. Sports is just not all about the physical aspect of it. You have the mind and your body and your spirit aspect of it. And everybody has it, because that's what they do. I mean, it's literally just everything that we do. So other parts of sports, even when I used to coach sports, I didn't really care about the physical aspect of it. I cared about the mental aspect, because when you're in that game, you're in tunnel vision, you're like, man, I gonna get you this. Like, you don't know, all these thoughts going in. That's the part that you kind of have to handle. You could work on those things now. Learn your sport or your theory. Like, we got time, look up other things, look up other ways to get better in your sport without actually going out there and training on it. So train your mind to do certain things, and then you could put those things to action. It's only sports, I would honestly say, it's like 10% of the deal. We train all day, every day, but we're only getting 10% of it. You only get but so strong, but you could get extremely smart and apply those principles to certain things, and you don't do those kind of things. So take those with my foolish advice. It worked for me, and I ain't saying it can't work for nobody else, but it definitely worked. And then I'm always here. I'm open. Let me know. I'll be more than happy to come back on the show to be able to express the knowledge that I have. But we are really trying literally trying to figure out a push to trying to make our community a better place within. Before we go out, we got to start within first, because we got to make that foundation stronger. And each step that we have done, I mean, I think we're pretty successful so far, although it literally only have been, this would be the 3rd month. And we kind of got a lot done, and believe you guys will get to see these things fold out as the time goes on. And when you look at it, you be like, yeah, them are making steps. I mean, any baby step is better than no step. So yeah.
I'd like to thank you for your time today. Very insightful conversation. I learned a lot, and I hope that the viewers learned a lot as well. And just a reminder to stick and stay with Mad Hot Media for the latest and greatest in Virgin Islands sports.
Yes, all right.